Evening everybody, welcome back to Chuck's Chat, Series 2. Delighted to be joined by the wonderful Kieran Walsh. I'm not going to call him Kieran for the rest of this interview, it's Walshy to all of us in here. Walshy from South Kilkenny, God love him, what a cross to bear. From Sleeve-Rue, which is kind of, we call it North Waterford. Anyway, Walshy's here, we want to talk about his career, his background, how long he's been in Bective, what he's been done. One of the reasons I want to get him in, I met Walshy properly this time last year when the under 17 and a halves were starting, under 17s, which ended up with them winning a dramatic league final victory against Ashbourne out in Skerries in springtime. It was a fantastic day, and I want to go through that in a bit more detail. So, Walshy, welcome to Chuck's Chats.
Pleasure, thank you.
Yeah, well, the pleasure is all yours.
Yes, indeed.
When did you join? You're from Sleeve-Rue, as I said, terrible cross to bear. You know,
Indeed,
you know, North Waterford, once removed. Do you follow the Cats or?
Yeah, no, I did. I just like to point out that the train station in Waterford is in County Kilkenny and remains to be there, but it's a different debate maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, no, I actually was living in Blenheim Heights out in Ballygunner for.
There you are. You
for
see.
7 or 8 years before.
Just for clarity, I'm a Waterford head too, so there's a Waterford connection.
My dad used to run Snow Cream Dairies down in Waterford.
Okay,
and he's from Sleeve-Rue, where we were brought up to the farm there.
We would have walked down past Snow Cream, heading down Maypark Lane into Ballinmakill for rugby.
I did it from school every day.
So we both played in Waterpark at different eras.
Yeah. So I went to primary school in Waterpark and walked down there every day, every week to play rugby down with Junior Drone was our coach.
Junior Drone, great man.
Absolute legend of a man.
Great
phenomenal
man.
coach for kids. And then I went to secondary school in Rockwell and played a fair bit of rugby there. We played an awful lot of hurling, being a Kilkenny man, and a bit of Gaelic football. Obviously not that typical of being a Kilkenny man, but yeah, no, I was. I guess I played quite a bit of rugby in school. I didn't play that much rugby in I didn't make the senior rugby team in
Rockwell.
6th year. No, I didn't. I was playing an awful more Gaelic football. I kind of fell out of rugby a little bit, or fell out of love with it.
That's unusual in Rockwell because that's a rugby
academy. It is, and we had to be honest, we had a very good Gaelic football and surprisingly good hurling team for a rugby school. And I was brought up. My dad was a mad GAA hurling fan. Having said that, and it's one of the things that I hope I can pass on to my kids, or I have. I mean, he would have gone to watch us playing anything.
Tiddlywinks, didn't matter. He was there.
My younger brother played soccer in Waterford.
Foreign sport. Yeah, but soccer in Waterford is very strong.
It is, but like when you're from Sleeve-Rue and you're a hurling man and you're young lads.
Who did he play soccer
in
for
the town with? I don't know. Somewhere up around Mount Sion, hurling field up there somewhere. And James, he actually played Munster Schoolboys rugby as well, and he played in the B schools like what Waterpark would have been in there with Donnacha O'Callaghan at the time. But he was very sporting. He was also a very good hurler. He played Kilkenny minors or South minors for Kilkenny. But my dad even went to watch him playing soccer, if you like, you know. But I mean, that was like, you know, we never went into the soccer pitch in Sleeve-Rue. Like we would never be in there.
There was one in Sleeve-Rue.
There was not a great one, but like we played hurling then, and we were. Yeah, I mean, we were mad into hurling, and you know, Sleeve-Rue would have been a relatively competitive underage environment in Kilkenny. You know, Kilkenny underage hurling would be indeed very strong, and we were a junior club, but we were very competitive in the junior, we say, championship in those years as well. And when I
Who was your local rival? Glenmore?
Glenmore would have been a senior club though, so our local rivals would have been like Pilltown would have been the one that we would have played against a lot. Who else would have
Mullinvat?
Well, Mullinvat were intermediate thing. No, it would have been Kilmacow would have been neighbours and a very big rival there. Dunnamaggin at the time would have been a very big rival as well. So, you know, we were a South club and they play a South and a North championship in Kilkenny. So, but yeah, no. So I was playing an awful lot of hurling. I went to college in Trinity and didn't play rugby in there either. I played a lot of hurling, a little bit of Gaelic football, and we had a surprisingly good hurling team in Trinity College, which would be a bit of a remarkable achievement.
Absolutely.
And we won. We didn't win the intervarsities. There was a you know, the Fitzgibbon is the cup. We won the plate and the shield, which is the B and C competition. And then I started playing rugby again when I played a bit of under 18s in Waterpark.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends there from school, obviously.
What years were you in Waterpark?
In school?
No, underage down in the club.
That would have been 1998 or something like that.
Hey, geez, you're much younger than me, yeah.
Yeah, and then I went when I was finished college. So in 90, that would have been, in 91, I would have started playing thirds and second and thirds rugby then in Waterpark.
So you'd have played with a lot of my buddies, the Cronins.
Yeah. Ben was gone. Ben was up in Garryowen.
Cormac played here.
Yeah, well, that was kind of one of the connections I had with coming in here in the first place, because Cormac was in school with my
Mickey
brother.
Comerford.
Mickey was a Kilkenny man.
Mickey played
good
here
hurler,
as well, good hurler, yeah.
But Mickey and Cormac and my brother Vinny were all in the same class in Waterpark.
Okay.
So they would have been good friends, and Vinny would have been playing with them in school and that.
Yeah, I was coaching 19s here in the late 80s, early 90s, and we got three good lads out of Waterpark: Mickey Comerford, Cormac, and Brian Cusack, who went on playing for Leinster and for Bath.
Yeah, and Mickey was a great sportsman, and he was a really good hurler.
Yeah.
And Mike Smiley was a serious rugby player.
Smiley was savage, Cormac, savage,
He could play.
Yeah, he was kind of a hybrid between Ben and Donagh. He had Donagh's work ethic and Ben's skill level, and he'd throw his head in anywhere.
He was tough as nails.
Yeah, tough as nails. He played here. Yeah, he was very good here.
Yeah. But when I played a bit of seconds and thirds rugby in Waterpark then until 1994, I think 94-95 season, and I did a masters in UCD and ended up playing a lot of hurling in UCD that year as well. And ended up we lost the Fitzgibbon Cup final, which is a really
still rankles,
still rankles, but it was great to be there.
Who beat you?
Waterford IT, and they had a glittering of county all-stars and everything, and we had a couple of county players, but we were a much more balanced team, I think. But anyway, we didn't win it, and but I started playing rugby here in Bective.
So you took a circuitous route. When did you drop yourself in here?
Well, the very first time I came in here was to a engineering society disco when I was in Trinity in 1988.
Run by the great Jerry Quinn out in the hall.
By Jerry, and I think that's the first time. I think Mickey, Comfort and Smiley were behind the barn here, and I think that was because I knew them, like they were my brother's buddies. But I was in UCD. I wasn't going to play in Waterpark. I was still driving up and down to Slieve for a good few years afterwards, playing hurling in Slieve. But I just came in, and I knew the lads had been here. I think Mickey was back in Waterpark.
Yeah, I think
when I was just leaving Waterpark, and I guess I had that association. And actually, a good friend of mine, a guy called Mick Brennan, had played rugby here. He's a Kilkenny man from Kilkenny City, from a place called Bonnetstown, but I didn't play with Mick, but he had been here, and I never really associated that until afterwards when I was talking to him. And I walked in. I remember how I knew training was on a Tuesday night. I do not know, but I went in and I rocked up here in the back pitch and all its glory. There was a bit of grass on it, but I think it was
early in the season, And
I just met Dave Walsh as the coach or player. I can't remember what it was, and I ended up training and started from there, playing for Bective, and loved every minute of it, both the social side of it and the rugby.
Yeah, and you haven't left. I know.
Well, I've been away,
and stuff. And
I did.
You were in London for a while as well.
Yeah, I did. So
So what teams did you play on when you were in here, Walsh?
I started playing the thirds, and
Where were you playing? In the row or back row?
I think I might have played my first couple of games second row with the thirds, and then I ended up playing number 8 fairly quickly, or blindside. I can't remember. I do remember Dave shouting at me to slow down the pitch because they couldn't keep up with me. So I got promoted to the seconds that year, I think, more or less. And then I think I was captain of the seconds, I think the next 2 seasons. So that meant I was training with the first. So Harry Williams came in, I think, around then.
Yeah, Harry had come in just after Noel McQuilkin had left.
So I wasn't here. So I ended up going up to Glenamuck then for...
That's when I left the club. I went off to get married and have kids and stuff.
Unlucky.
So sliding doors, we missed each other.
So I have to say, for me, that level of training with when Harry was there as the coach, I hadn't been with any other coach at that level, was a real eye opener.
Harry, of course, won the European Cup with Ulster, and
was the Ulster coach, and was a Lansdowne coach, I think, as well after for a while. Or
Mike Ruddock had been here first, and then it was Charlie Quinn would have been the Lansdowne coach, would he, who came in afterwards?
Yeah.
I left as Harry. I did one season here with Harry, and then I was gone.
Yeah, and that was for me. You know, I developed, I would say, really a lot as a rugby player in those kind of years. You know, and I think at that stage, like rugby, I mean, I was still playing a lot of hurling, but I think I was, you know, probably getting much more out of playing rugby here because I think of the game and the level, but also I think it was very much social. I was working in Ericsson up here in Beaver Row.
Okay.
They worked there
literally
across the road,
yeah.
and there was a lot of crossover of people. I was playing hurling out in about the year after I guess I played hurling out in Kilmacud. I think what I know, we even had Ericsson as a sponsor here for a year or two around then as well. But yeah, it all kind of fitted around here, and I guess we were just out of college, you know, having a lot of social fun anyway through work and through Bective, and it all fitted together nicely for me. You know, I really enjoyed playing rugby, and it was a level that I hadn't played at before for sure. But then obviously the social side of it was really, really active here in Bective, and
it's important when you're younger as well.
Yeah, it is. And when Harry left, I think it was December '97 or something like that. Ed came in, Ed Martin.
Ed Martin,
and, Ed gave me a couple of AIL games that year, and I remember I played my first game up AIL rugby up in Galwegians, and we had a poor start to that season when Harry left. And Galwegians, I think, got promoted that year. I think they were unbeaten, and I think the term would be we gave them a right scare up in the Gaelic grounds. And but I remember for me it was like I was nervous going up there, I have to say now. And like I'd been playing, you know, a lot of second team rugby here, but
it was a step up.
It was a step up, and like,
but the nerves can focus the mind too.
And absolutely. And I was playing in the back row with Monty and Paul Hatton, and Paul was younger than me, a good bit younger.
There's two savages.
Yeah,
like Monty was the enforcer.
He was like a Rolls Royce.
Tough as nails. Yeah.
I mean, I come from playing, you know, Munster Junior Cup rugby,
which is hard.
And you know, being down in Fermoy and hunting the horses off the pitch to play a game and getting kicked up and down the pitch as a young lad. And there was some very hard.
Monty and Hats were tough lads.
Yeah, I was going to say that there were some very seasoned players in Waterpark, but like when you started lined up beside Monty, it was always like, okay, that's a tough guy.
Yeah. But he'll mind you.
Oh yes, and that's it. I'm like, yeah, he did, and he knew it was my first start, and yeah, he did, and you know, they had Junior Charlie playing from there. If you remember, he was a college player.
I remember him. Yeah.
I remember everyone talking about Junior Charlie before the game.
Yeah, they're talking about Monty and Hatton after the game.
Yeah. And
Hats didn't take a backward step either.
No, and your man, I was playing blindside, and we were very tight. I think until the very end, and I had actually managed to catch a lot of line-out balls, even though I wasn't jumping, because your man kept overthrowing the ball, and I was at the back of the line.
So
I was getting in the game, and but your man came around the side of a scrum, picked at 8 to go up the blind side, and it was very tight, thanks be to God. And I remember I hit him with everything I had, and just somehow managed to stop him. And I was holding on with one hand to his shorts or something, and I think Monty just cleaned him, like literally buried him into touch, and that was my first AL game. I didn't play a lot of AL games. I played up in Dennisal I think 2 weeks later, and then I was working, as I said, for Ericsson at the time, and I was kind of in and out of the country a lot from then.
Yeah.
So I went to live in Sweden, in Stockholm for I think 4 or 5 months. Then came back for the next season.
Yeah.
Same thing, a bit of seconds, a lot of seconds rugby, and a bit of AIL rugby, and then I went to the next year. So in 1998, I went to Sweden for 2 years. So I wasn't here, and then came back again in 2001. Played 3 or 4 years, and then I went living in Japan for basically for 6 years in 2005.
Where did you live in Japan?
In Tokyo. Yeah.
I was in Tokyo for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Mad place.
Phenomenal place.
Great country. Great.
I played rugby there as well, but there was an interesting link in Sweden. So I played rugby for the Stockholm Exiles, they were called. There's about, I think, 8 senior rugby teams in Sweden. And we got beaten in they call it the goal final, but the championship final. The first year I was there that time, and to a team called Vänersborg, was way out the west of Sweden. And it was the first time the Exiles had, we bet a team called Trelleborg down in the south of Sweden, and they had a Fijian player who everybody in Sweden was afraid of. And we went down there, they'd beaten Stockholm 8 years in a row, and your man was playing hooker.
And was he?
He was big, I have to say, but he wasn't as hard as they thought. And so I was playing number 8 anyway for Stockholm, and our hooker started crying just before half time. He spat the dummy and he wouldn't play, and I played hooker all the way from when I was until I was about 18, and so I said I'd play hooker, and they were like, but you can't play hooker. I'm going, and the referee was like, are you able to play hooker? I said, yeah, no problem. And like
so you're in against the Fijian.
Like he was honestly soft, and like he was old, he was well into his 30s, and I was a young lad, and so we buckled him up and we won down there. And
were you the hero then, Walshy?
Yeah, that was one of the days, I think. Yeah, I enjoyed that, I have to say. And I mean, I was after playing AIL rugby here the year before,
which is tough. Like,
well, it's just a different level, and it's tough. You know what I mean? And so anyway, we managed to beat them, but then to win the cup, I remember I rang. I think it was Gaz here. I was talking to Gaz and I said, I need 2 young lads to come over. We need an out half with a boot, and we need a forward. So Richie Maybury and Mark Coonan, a guy.
I don't know Mark, but I know
Mark's Kildare man.
So Mabel was a place kicking prop.
Yes, indeed, left-footed place kicker. Yeah. Phenomenal player Richie was, and so Richie came over with his then girlfriend, now wife, for the summer. And Mark came over as a young free and single Kildare man, and
had all the crack.
They had a great time, and we had a good fun in that club, and we were in the middle of Stockholm, and the lads got jobs. There was a family called the Maybons. They were Scottish descendants that were the kind of benefactors of Stockholm Exiles, and Hamish was a partner in EY, and his brother was a fairly wealthy kind of property guy. But the lads got jobs lifting furniture and moving around, and we won the Swedish gold medal in the Olympic Stadium in front of about 200 people. But like, it was phenomenal, yeah. And I didn't get to play because I broke my bloody ankle in the quarter final or something like that. But there was a guy called Ray O'Gallagher. There was a Wanderers young lad, and had played, I think he might have played under 20s for Leinster, and he was working with us, but he hadn't played rugby for, I don't know, say 8 years or something. So we persuaded him out of retirement, and he was out of shape, let's just say, to say the least. But when he absolutely trained himself back to being a phenomenal rugby player, scrum half, and played for Sweden for 3 or 4 years.
The national team.
Yeah. He was married to a Swedish girl, and still is, and I would say he was a really good friend of mine at the time, and wouldn't be that much in touch with him, but often would talk about it. But he played for Sweden for 3 or 4 years afterwards as a scrum half. And
you've had a varied career. So you played in Sweden, you played in Tokyo, and you played in Bective.
I played in London Irish a little bit as well. Yeah.
Did you play in Irish? When did you play down in Irish?
So we moved from Tokyo to London in 2010. And I played.
Because your work is taken everywhere. Nobody ever knows what name you. I'm guessing you're an engineer.
Yeah, I'm a telecom engineer. But I was working like in management, I guess, at the time. So I was running all of the operations for Ericsson in Japan and Korea, and then in UK and Ireland from London.
So you came from Japan to London.
Yeah, and I played with a guy I'm sure you know, Frank Walsh. Munster man, Waterpark man, I played for Munster, and so I was playing vets rugby. I played a bit of, I can't remember what it's called, the Colts or whatever, tours rugby in London Irish, and then I ended up playing vets with Frankie and a couple of lads there. And
Frank Walsh was scrum half.
Centre. Jay Walsh was his brother.
Jay Walsh is his brother. Nathan Walsh is the older brother. Give you a great story about Frank Walsh. Great story. This year after blindsiding me, I arrived down to play in Waterpark, and I was full of notions. I came down so it was 83, and our training in those days would be Tuesday night first against seconds, tear into each other, old fashioned. And I had the jersey on, I had the collar up, and I had the number 10 on the back of the Clongowes jersey, and I was the fucking man, right? And the boys were having none of this, so I put a kick through, and as I'm running through to chase my kick, Tom Malloy gave me an elbow straight in the face. And I picked myself up the floor and I looked at him and said, what was that for? And he said, welcome to Munster Rugby, lad. Turn down your collar. Now, Tom lived 4 doors down the road from me, right? So in the second half of this practice game, I ended in at 9 and Frank Walsh was at number 9.
Yeah.
And I gave him a little nudge as he was putting the ball in and he laid me out with
Yeah,
one dick just straight down on the floor, gone. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was right. I was scared of him.
We play, but Vets Rugby in London is basically over 35. And it's rugby. There's no different colour shorts. There's like
it's full on oldies who haven't given up.
And somebody's gonna take it off if you want
that. And Jay Walsh played here. After I left, Jay Walsh was coming in here after I left. Yes,
Jay was in my brother's school.
And Aidan Walsh was on the Waterpark team that got the cup final. They were beaten by the Cookies in '83 in Thomond Park. I was at that match as well. Waterpark had a great team then, great run. Yeah. John O'Neill, John Malloy, Brendan Moore and kicking points for fun. Mick McNamara was playing in the second row. Tommy Goggin in the back row, Gussie Welch, Nigel Daly, tough men.
Nigel.
Nigel's a great man.
Yeah, fierce hard character.
Yeah, great man.
But
sorry, we digress.
But I only played a couple of Vets games, but it absolutely wrecked my shoulder, and that was the end of my career. I was also travelling off from work at the time. But I remember we went to play the first Vets game I played, and Frank was well into his 50s. I think Frank was 56 or something.
Frank's about 5 or 6 years older
at
than
that
me.
time. And like he would still stop anything dead in his tracks. And so I remember starting off and I was playing number 8. The other number 8 had just finished playing professional rugby for London Irish, was Arnie Venter.
Yeah, right.
36 years of age, and you're there like going, I was 46, I'd say, massively out of shape.
Blowing out your arse.
Would never have been able for him anyway. And I'm looking over going like, how is this going to work out? And he, as a good, hard South African rugby player, he hit everything he could as hard as he could.
And he nearly turned around and come back and hit you again.
Unbelievable. It was like, okay, this is not for the faint.
So you've been to Sweden, you've been to Tokyo, you've been to London Irish, and eventually you come back to Dublin?
Yeah, so we moved back from London in 2007.
And you're coming back with Trina and the kids?
Yeah, 4 kids. So Triona and the 4 kids. So Jem is my oldest, and then Keen and Tara are twins, and Jack is my youngest.
I don't know Jack.
He's under
13s
here.
So Jamie's on the
under 20s this year. Just came back. Yeah,
he was on the team in Michael's as well, was he?
No, Jamie didn't. He played Michael's thirds last year and didn't play for a year or two before that.
And then I know Keen.
Yeah,
right. A lot of time he's a good young lad. You've done a good job on him, right?
Yeah.
And I've met Tara. Yeah, she's playing for the Dubs.
She is.
And she has the reputation of beall the best mini that was ever in Bective, but she had to give it up because she was playing football up in Crooks. And
I guess there was no. She played on. She was on. She could with the minis under 13s, and she also I think won probably player of the tournament in every single tournament that London Irish put the teams into, because there was very few. Well, she was brilliant, but there was also very few girls playing. And
when we were going out to a match last year, we was told me Walsh's daughter was the best mini he ever saw down here. Yeah. Right? He said she was killing people for fun.
Yeah, I know she was a machine.
Yeah.
In fairness to her.
And now she's playing for the Dubs?
Yeah, she played under 16 football for Dublin 2 years ago, under 17 last year, and she's doing minor trials now starting in 2 weeks' time, so hopefully she'll get back in again. And she's playing in a very successful, her age group. You know, this happens often with underage. You get kind of generation out of teams. And her group in Kilmacud are extremely strong. Okay. And they've won basically county final after county final and failed.
Well, Crokes are winning everything. I've a bit of sight of Crokes. My nephew was
it's a great.
Crokes the machine. It's
it is
well run machine.
You know what? It's a big machine, but it's incredibly well run, and they have a lot of underage players. Because like I've been doing minis coaching here, and I did a lot, and so did Triona did an awful lot in London Irish as well. And you know, the numbers wouldn't be the same at all as what Crokes would have in the GAA, but they also have it set up in a way that, like, you know, even though they might have, they could have 110 kids coming in at under 8 or whatever for hurling and football, but they'd have 40 coaches.
I counted one day Walshy up there 2 years ago. I was dropping the young lad, he was under 8 at the time, and he was training up in the Astro, in behind the cage, and there was
the paddock.
There was 51 coaches in the paddock. I counted. I was texting people down here going, we need to get up to Crokes and look what they're doing and transfer it down here. I think we kind of might have, because that's where I want to go on this. I want to go into absolutely. Part of the reason I have you in is because of the work you're doing with the youths. So we had Mabo in last year as kind of director of all minis and youths rugby. Yeah. We had Hats in for the stories and the crack, but he's also working with Christopher's team. He's up at under 12s now. I first came across you in a kind of Bective coaching capacity last year when you went on that run in the under 17s league. So when did you start coaching the kids?
When I came back,
have you moved with your kids?
Yeah. So when I came back to Dublin, I brought the kids to Bective here, and Tara, Cian and Jamie were all playing. So Jamie was in the year now, the under 20s, so that would have been then with the coaches would have been Dave Walsh, Emmett, Weewa, and Tony O'Brien.
Tony,
so Ernie would have been the same group, and then I coached then Keen and Tara's group, which would be 2 years behind that, and Tony was there.
Keen and Tara, twins.
So they would have been there, and Jack would have been. I think Jack might have been not yet in, so he came in then when he was in second class, I guess, at under 6s or 7s or something. So I went through. I didn't coach Jamie, and then I went through with Keen and Tara. We went under 14s, if I remember. And then I've been with Jack then since, I guess then it would be under 7s or 8s or something. I did it under 13s last year.
And did you do it out of sense of duty to the club, or a sense of duty to your kids, or a desire to give back and get your kids and try and give your kids, like the stories you've told, right? And you've told me the clean ones. Stories you've had the crack. And you were trying to give that back to your kids, or give it back to Bective. What's the story?
I think primarily in the first place, I guess I started coaching with my kids back in London, in Irish, and I remember it well. I was standing on the sideline. It was under 6s rugby or something like that, and Jamie was a shy little guy in there. He was new to everything. And Tara had decided to come in full London Irish gear as well, to just, I think, to annoy him or to be there. And I was standing on the sideline, I guess, the classic noisy dad coaching my own son.
Tennis dad, where you're screaming and roaring?
I was giving him some hints and pointers. And Tiernan, one of the coaches, walked up to me, Dublin lad, and he goes, right, you're coaching. I can't be listening to you on the sideline. You seem to know what you're talking about. And so I started coaching there then, and I think one of the reasons, that was the trigger point, but I think what I also realised probably at the time was I was travelling a lot from work, and Triona was at home with the lads, so Triona worked full time until we came to London, and then she worked at home with the lads, and so it was for me quickly obvious that it was a great way to spend time with the kids. And it meant you couldn't be working at the weekends. You had to stop.
Because
you had to go and
9:30 on a Saturday morning.
And I also quickly learned that, as a coach of particularly the really young kids, like, you have to be unbelievably careful that you don't treat them like your own kids, where you can give them a bit of too much encouragement maybe, but you get to bring them home in the car and buy them a sausage roll or an ice cream, and you can get back in with them.
So with other people's kids, it's different.
You get one chance or two maybe, and I have to say you learn a lot about yourself, because I've been working, obviously, running relatively large organisations, then as well. And I have to say, I think I learned quite a bit about myself being a coach of kids, as much as maybe being.
You don't know you're a captain industry or nothing.
You have to capture them, you have to capture their attention, and then, to be fair, I think all of the codes, because I coached soccer in the UK as well, which was also super interesting, very different type of atmosphere, I would say, and I coach a lot of GAA, and I've done the safeguarding courses and the kids.
Are you coaching up in Crokes?
I am. Okay. And it's actually amazing compared to when I started playing sport, particularly in the GAA. Like the thinking about coaching kids and what you put into it, it's changed immeasurably. But I think what you get back out of it then, I believe, now I don't know, I've only ever done it once, I don't know what it would have been like, but my dad used to get involved in coaching as well, and I think there was something there a little bit, it was kind of like, it was something that should be done, and then I guess when I came to Bective, I was always going to coach,
Yeah.
And that was, you know, that was part of my life then. It was part, I hope, an enjoyable part of my kids' lives at that stage. But I mean, like, you know, there was only one club I would have come to. I mean, a lot of would say Keane's, all his friends were in Belvo.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, he said it to me, I think the first week or two he went to school, and he'd made a big impression in training, and he'd knocked over the biggest fella there, and
they're going
and yeah, and I mean, Tara heard it somewhere else in the back of somebody's car. Oh, this guy came in and he tackled this guy today, and then like it's, oh, can I go play for Belvoir? He mightn't ask me, but he said that as I'm going, sorry son, there's only one place we're going.
We did a good job on you.
And you know what, the minis here is as good if not better than anywhere else. And for me for sure, and I guess Jamie's now under 20s, Keane was under 17s last year, and like I have very, very fond memories of playing rugby here and of the people I played with and met, but I have equally fond memories of the fun we had afterwards. Well, I had here afterwards, and I'm like, this was a phenomenal social, and still is a phenomenal social.
Best decision I made in my life, walking in the door in this place.
And like, you know, Jamie's not that young now, and Keane is, yeah, Mark might give him a point this year when he's 18, but you know what I mean, like they're at that age where I'd love to see them continue and you know what, you know, play rugby here or whatever it is. But yeah, so it was, you know, it was about coaching. Number one was about me and my kids, and then, you know, when I came to Dublin, there was only one place you could go.
I found it was a great place. I can only speak of my own experience. Yeah. So the club is full of cultures, as we know.
Yeah.
You and I are cultures.
Yeah.
And I was very conscious when I came back to Dublin that I needed a social outlet, and thank God I came in here, because everybody's accepted in here. I've made friends for life here. Yeah. It's like a family. I keep using that word. It's like a family.
Yeah.
And I'm now trying. I had boys, right? I had 3 girls. So you want to know about hockey, gymnastics, all of that. I'm your man. But my kids are grown up now, so I've come back and I'm giving back to the club because I think that's important. But I'm dragging in the next generation. So my sister-in-law is coaching up in Crokes, and she's mad Crokes person, and she has 3 kids, and they lived with us for a while. So I've got the eldest boy in here now.
I saw the picture.
Yeah. And he's mad, right? And there's a bit of Uncle Hero worship going on, and I'm milking all of that, right? Getting them in.
Absolutely, yeah.
When we won the under-17s, we went out as a team. We had Weewa with us as well. Weewa's a brilliant wingman. And it kind of I got a bit emotional at the end, right? Because it was a very big deal for Bective, but also for the kids. And I'm a parent, right? And every child deserves a childhood, and it's our job as a parent to give that to them. And we exchange emails for the benefit of anybody who's listening, all 4 of you, after the match. And you said something wonderful, as which resonated with me, both as a father, but also as a sporting head, but also as a coach, kind of a triumvirate. I'm going to read it, if you don't mind. So you're talking personally about on a more personal note. For Kieran, it's a massive experience to have the honour of being captain, and his rugby and he himself have developed massively in 6 months. And the best thing is he sees it himself, and again, it's now a Bective thing for him. And for me personally, it's massively rewarding. Myself and my 2 brothers played in Bective for years. We all came from a country GAA background, and Bective was always like the local parish club for us, albeit a rugby version. And I now feel I've brought Kieran into that as well. I've brought him home, and I look forward to bringing Jack there too in 5 or 6 years' time, and hopefully getting Jamie into the under-20s setup next year. It's like seeing what you hoped for at under-6 minis for your child becoming reality for them as a young adult. How great is that? That's a brilliant synopsis of being a parent and going on. I hate that word journey, right, because it's LinkedIn nonsense, but going on the journey. So you start with the kids at under-6s, and they come out the other end under-17s, and he wins, and your kids lifting the cup. That must be brilliant for you.
Yeah, look at, I mean, and I guess one of the points there was that, like, I played rugby with my 2 younger brothers, Vinny and James here.
So they play here too?
They did, yeah. Vinny played here for years. James played a bit. James won the under-20s here. Like I said, he played Munster schools from Waterpark, and then he played for UCD in first year, and I think they won it, and then he played here in second year and
won it again.
But usually in the final, and he kicked the penalty to win it.
Excellent.
And I think it was up in the bowl, and so for me, like playing with the two lads was phenomenal, because I played hurling with my older brother, and I played hurling a bit with James as well. But like to play rugby with him here was brilliant.
And now the next generation.
And Kieran and Jamie played with the St Michael's Fire team last year. So Kieran was kind of playing up from fourth year, and Jamie was in sixth year. And I could see the two of them as well, and like what it meant to him. And it's amazing what it means. We said Jamie to play with Kieran and vice versa.
Yeah.
So like that was part of what that was part of what resonated with me about it then, because that was Bective for me, that it was a place where the three of us played. And got to play with them, and then for Kieran, I think he was in transition year. He had played on the JCTs and Michaels, didn't get an awful lot of game time maybe, but I played there, and some of the lads had made the senior panel and Kieran didn't, and he's flying out this year again. But that year in the middle, and to play here with a load of his own friends from St Michael's,
but also a load of guys from Crokes, like that team was littered with Crokes heads, David Byrne, there was a load of them from Crokes.
Gonzaga lads, brought in more Gonzaga lads,
a couple of Andrews boys,
and a good few from Blackrock, and actually there was a kind of a Bective Minis nucleus then as well within that setup as well. So it was really great, and Tony is a phenomenal person and a phenomenal coach.
It's Tony O'Brien.
Tony had been involved 2 years ago with Ernie, and the guys had done the same.
And Ernie won the Under-18s Cup.
They won the Under-18s Cup.
I met that young lad here after. He's a very mature kid. He's got a leader written all over him, that kid.
100%. And he's a credit to Tony and Suzanne. And so there was a bit of maybe a little bit of a blueprint there, and we had the other coaches as well in there with Rudolph and Liam and Dahi. So we had it, and then Louis McGee helped us out as well in there as well in the mix. So we had to be honest, we had some exceptional players in it as well.
Yeah, there's some good players.
Some very good players.
Your young lads, exceptional player.
Fine player.
I love the out half, David Byrne, the little
David, for the side of the
and he's playing. I know he's playing up in Crokes because I've seen him hanging around up there.
Yeah, lovely young fella as well, and so, and I think for me then I think for Keane to be the captain, and I think he really he took it seriously. He grew into it. I think all of the kids, they loved that they was different to schools rugby.
Less intense.
Yeah, and I guess some of them
less dismissive if you're not making it in the school.
Probably a little bit more that, like that. Some of them had played a good bit of schools rugby. Some hadn't played that much actually, and one of the lads, Colin, hadn't played at all, and Ross, who was a phenomenal player, who played Lucet there the whole season. I mean, he hadn't played schools rugby, but he's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, I remember him.
And they all grew in with it. And
there's a great story about the lad who flew home from France. A TY exchange and flew in for the final.
Yeah, look, and again, his brother Matthew plays with Jack in the Minis as well. And
you know where I'm going with this, Walshy. So in Bective, from what I could have seen, was we're very strong at minis and we lost them at 13.
Yeah.
But now we're not losing them at 13. Laner has a team out there, I think under 14s.
14s,
and you had a team at under 17s.
And we'll have them for the 18s Cup this year.
And now we've also extended with Emmett, and we're now getting an under. I was using that phraseology, cradle to the grave. We have vets, seniors all the way down.
100%.
There was that gap from kind of 14 to 20.
Absolutely, and I think at least what I saw with that group, as well as obviously being massively proud of Keane in it, and the fact that we won it, and like the final was so dramatic, but the lads, they played it out to win it, which so was to credit to them, but what I really saw there was that as we were getting to the end of the season, and just talking to Keane or him talking to the lads, they really, really resonated with Bective. And I think an awful lot of it was because, to be honest, of the kind of care and attention they got here.
They felt accepted.
Well, even more than that, I'd say. They felt special.
Yeah, but there's all of the psychological stuff that you guys... and you probably knew you were doing it, but maybe you didn't know you were doing it. Make them feel safe and make them feel 100%. Involved.
And we wanted to play fun rugby and all that.
Yeah.
And I think we got that relatively
so less intense than the senior cup.
But the fact that people came to watch them, they were on video. They got pizza in here. So small things maybe after some of the games,
that make a difference.
And like they've really felt part of a greater club, and a lot of them mightn't have been in a club like that before. So that was it. And I think, look, I think there's a blueprint there that we're getting to now, and I think
putting all, as I call them, the foundations, the building blocks.
Exactly, and it goes something along the lines of you go to 13s, 14s. I think you have to be very careful of 15s and 16s, because what you don't want, in my experience, is a team where you only have 12 or 13 players and you're playing up one or two lads, and then you go to Barnhall at under 15s and you're kicked around the place. And then you're losing them lads, you put them off, right? Yeah. I mean, I think there is a point where it's sensible to stop, let them go through the Junior Cup. I think the 17s is a perfect year, because with that
they're too young to be playing Senior Cup at 17.
And some of them might, but most of them won't. And if you can get like what happened when Tony did it, I think with Ernie, and we did it last year, a kind of a nucleus from Blackrock and a nucleus from Michael's, a bit of Crokes thrown in, the Bective minis that were around, and if you can get it together, I think you get a 17s team. The 18s Cup is only a 4 or 5 week window, and I make it's interesting when you talk to Kieran and the lads, and he's still obviously talking to the lads. They're mad keen to come back and play the cup.
So they had a positive experience.
And then I think the 20s becomes a relatively seamless. You mightn't get them all. You don't need them all.
But there's a stepping stone.
Yeah. So I think the key would be, don't break the chain. I mean, me and Tony will do the 18s this year. We'll help out. We'll say at the 20s or whatever it is. Then the year after.
Mabel was saying the same thing in here last year.
Don't break this.
The coaches should move with the whole group.
Yeah, but don't. If you can avoid it at all, like don't not have an under 17s. Like put it together, you know. And it takes, to be honest, you need to identify who are the coaches going to be for that under 17s. Maybe the year before or something, and it hopefully will be some of the lads were there at under 14s or something. But then you've got a bit of continuity.
So Laner and Chauncey are doing 14s.
Yeah, Jack was in with those. Yeah,
so what's the next move for them then? You're talking about maybe a gap 15 to 16.
They've joined with Lansdowne, which is very interesting to do it. So maybe they can keep going because they've joined, and then maybe they go to 17s after that or something like that. And
they would separate because we'd have enough numbers.
Maybe both clubs, Lansdowne definitely would as well, I'd say. And then I think you go 18s and 20s. But I think the key would be that you make sure and get them at 17s. Put them in the cup, even if it's only the Metro Cup for 18s, and then get ready for them at 20s. Because I do believe there's a bit of a blueprint there, and I think there is a there is an affinity then built up. You have it in the minis, you know, but it's different. The kids are. That's my phone there. I'm not off. Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're not the BBC. Go and grab the phone. BBC. Yeah. So what's coming out of what you're saying, Walshy, is like there's a huge passion involved in you on this.
Yeah,
and that was coming out of the email.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting there in the youths, which was a gap. We had minis, we had seniors.
Yeah.
We've
been a bit sporadic in the youths, whereas now we're filling the gaps, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like anything, it takes a number of years, because what you're hoping, as you said, is that the move with the coaches, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10, all the way up.
Yeah, I think up to under 13s it's relatively easy to be seamless, because there's no pull from other schools and all that, right?
Whereas they go into the big school, they might be told you're on the first team. You can't play club.
Exactly. So I think 13s to 14s is a difficult transition. 14s to 15s, you have to be careful that you have the numbers, because there is no point in having a group of lads that get beaten off the pitch. Probably even physically sometimes in some of the games, because you lose them.
Counterproductive.
Just be careful there. But then you have 17s, which transition year is an ideal time to build again, if you like. And
that's in, as you say, transition year or fifth year.
Yeah.
And they're not quite ready for SCT, Rock or Michaels
and to be fair, like some of them might never play SCT rugby, but they can play here for 17s a full season, 18s cup, and then into 20s.
So you think the future is strong?
Yeah, I think we have an unbelievable foundation with the minis. Like we have as good a setup and as good numbers as any club around here.
We have better facilities.
We have phenomenal facilities.
This has changed. This has been a game changer.
Yeah, it is. And I think, well, at least when I'm probably a bit biased because I was a coach here, and a lot of the lads that are coaching, I had played rugby, which is lovely. It's a nice affinity to have when I walked back in, as soon as I came in with my kids, like it was Mabo and Hats and the people, Tommy Sheehy and all people that I had played with and would have massive respect for, but also would have had great fun with. So I'm like, you're meeting them with a big smile on your face, and you're delighted to show them your
little 10 years later.
And here's my little lad, or Tara or whatever it is, and Cian and Jamie, and so like it is. I think we have an unbelievable asset in the minis. And I think there is a blueprint there to
there is.
And
I remember when we were talking to Mabo last year, I said, what are you missing? And he said, we're not missing a lot anymore. We need coaching for the coaches. But he said, other than that, we're actually not missing. Just bear with us. It's coming, it's progressing now, it's evolving organically. Yeah. And in another couple of years, we'll have a regular 20s, and 20s is the feeder then up to the seniors.
100%. The one thing I wouldn't underestimate, though, and this is coming back to London Irish had a phenomenal mini setup, and still have, and run a massive festival every year. I think we could probably look at some kind of a big fundraiser, a big festival type. I didn't even think about saying it to Mabo before, but I will do something like that. But what London Irish probably had that we more of than we have, they had, I think through the years, true volunteers, but they probably had a little bit more administration applied to it.
You putting a business acumen behind it?
Well, no, a bit, but maybe more just like there was a blueprint for how did you run a year. They'd just written down a little bit of like, what does it look like? Mm-hmm. How many coaches do you need? And like they would have had, like Triona worked or was involved in London Irish when I was coaching there, and the lads as well. And like she basically kind of was like a manager.
And she was doing your background stuff
she
as
did
well.
It here for the 17s and for your 13s last
year
year as well. And that's a massive advantage. You've got somebody who's involved and who cares about it. But there's quite a lot of administration, particularly as you start heading from minis into youths.
Correct.
And I think if you have that bit of administration, it makes it much easier for the parents to be involved as well a little bit, in terms of they know when they're getting their emails, they know if we're going to go on a tour, somebody's going to arrange it and stuff. And it's thankless work for sure. And in fairness to Triona, she's been doing it since 2010. I think this is the first year now. She's not doing it at the moment. But it makes a huge difference. And that London Irish probably had a little bit more of that.
And what about Croaks? I know they use, Anna says to me, they have Teamer, which is brilliant for communication. Whereas we have a plethora of different WhatsApp groups.
Yeah, Teamer is very good, I have to say. Some of the teams and coaches are using WhatsApp, to be clear, but most of them use Teamer. I think Croaks is an exceptionally structured.
It blew me away when I went in there 3 years
ago. So they're again, it's all voluntary. Like, so it's not that it can't be achieved. It's probably more necessary given the size of the playing force.
But there's no free babysitting in Croaks. You don't drop your kid and walk. They get you involved and they put you in coaching courses.
Yeah, well, I guess they get more parents involved, but they also have a lot more kids. There's still, I would say a lot of the parents do hang around, but there is, like everywhere, there is some parents that drop.
I hang around when I'm up there. I think it's really important to put the phone in my arse pocket and watch the kids, no matter which kid it is. Watch them. It's important for the kids because anytime they do something good, they're looking around and see us watching it. It's important.
Or your uncle.
Yeah, our uncle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uncle Daddy, it's what they used to call me when they were very young.
Yeah.
We're running out of time. I want to bring it all the way back to Bective. Final 2 questions. And we have time, but I just want to put more structure on this. Who's the best player you played with or saw in your time? Either the Waterpark boy, or not the Waterpark boys, but your Waterpark years playing here in Bective. Who is the best player? Heard you mention Monty earlier on.
I think I play with some phenomenal players and some phenomenal characters as well, I have to say.
Well, that's a subsection.
I think the 2 players that I think were the best players I ever played with and learnt the most of were Monty and Des Jackson.
Des Jackson, not a Waterford boy, but went to school in Newtown.
Newtown College.
And we were on Des from Wesley.
Yeah,
he played for Wesley for years.
And he worked with Shauna's dad and Tato as well.
Yeah, I know Des well, great lad, and I know very friendly with Monty. Talk me through the two of them. Monty, what made him stand out for you? Apart from the fact that nobody got past him.
Teak tough. He was. I kind of was playing back row, but I hadn't played an awful lot of rugby.
So you're a bit raw.
And that's where I think Des kind of taught me an awful lot about how to handle the ball and how to move the ball and do back row moves. And Monty just showed me how to get the shortest distance from A to B on the
through
pitch.
The guy in front of you
was to follow Monty, basically, because he was always gone and he always knew where to be, and there was an innate sense of where the ball was going to go. And when he got there, he did damage.
Yeah, hard man. But he had rugby intelligence. And Des is just a beautiful player.
Majestic.
Beautiful player, yeah.
Yeah.
And Des got all the chicks as well.
Yeah, there was that to it as well. Maybe that's I was looking up to him a bit. But he was. I mean, Des could talk his way through a game as well. I mean, he'd just be, chatting away. We're going. This is all going great, and you're kind of like, totally out of breath, probably trying to keep up with everything. And he always he looked like he had about 3 more gears in him, always.
Beautiful player, Rolls Royce player.
And a real athlete. He was a supreme athlete.
I think it's great that you picked out both of them. I would have hung around with Monty a lot.
Yes.
Right? And we did all the messing. Monty, Nardo, right? There was a gang of us, Butcho, gang of us in here, did all the messing. And then Des, for years we were saying, Des, you need to leave there. Come up here, you'll have much better. And he did come up here.
He was converted.
Yeah, he was converted, and he had all the crack. I'm not sure if we baptised him, but he was. They're just 2 really good Rangers. Yeah. Because the final question I'm going to ask you is what Rangers? So it doesn't have to be a player. So people talk about Allocadoos or administrators or coaches. What Ranger or Rangers had kind of the biggest effect on you, or would stand out for you and go, a bit like the movie Goodfellas? He was a good fella. Who would you say he's a good Ranger?
It's a really interesting, because there's so many both players and Allocadoos. I think Bective have the best Allocadoos in rugby. I think one player that I got really friendly with and loved playing with was Chris Moore, who was a good bit younger than me, a guy from Kildare, and I think he was an influence, we say, as a friend, a really close friend being here. But I think in terms of overall influence, and given he was probably, I'm pretty sure the first person I met when I walked in the gate was Dave Walsh.
Dave Walsh, God love him. Dave, great man. He's gone.
Absolute gentleman.
Yeah, a gentleman.
A tragedy. And he coached Jamie in that time, and they came over to London Irish on a few tours before that.
Dave,
with the lads, and he was so polite but still so organised, and he was hard enough in behind as well. And I played with Paddy a lot as well.
Paddy,
another
good
gentleman,
character,
really nice fella, and a savage rugby player. But I have to say, Dave, there was something very kind about him.
Dave was a gentleman to the core.
But he was tough as nails as well in his own way, and was amazingly accommodating and forward thinking and he's somehow very encouraging, without being really coachy, if you like. I don't know. There was something. There was a style and a substance. That was it was phenomenal.
It's great the way. And a terrible loss, terrible loss. It's great the way sometimes the first person you meet in the club can be the person. Because I remember you saying half an hour ago he was the first guy you met.
Yeah, he was.
The first person you meet can have nearly the biggest
influence. And in a nice bit of circularity, the under 13s last year, Jack and my youngest was playing, and we had a phenomenal season, but we were in the Premier League and we deserved to be there. But we were beaten in the semi-final of the league and the semi-final of the cup. And we played Dennisal in there's a Memorial Shield for Dave.
For Dave, yeah.
At under 13s, and we won it out here, and Julie was here and presented the trophy to the lads. So they got a trophy at the end of the year, and I think somehow they really understood that this was a particularly special place and trophy.
Yes.
And for me that was lovely, because I guess having had Dave. Having played with Dave and got to know him, and then him coaching Jamie, and he coached Jamie that year as well, you know. So it was really nice, and yeah, it was a special moment for the lads to win that, and I think it's brilliant, and it's, you know, I think it's brilliant for both Dennis Hall and Bective that they keep that going as well.
Yeah, it is important.
It's really important.
It is important.
Yeah, and it's something a bit special, I have to say.
Walshy, we could talk all night, but your point is finished.
You're nearly there.
I mean, we're probably going to run out of battery. I love the way your phone went off in the middle of it. We won't cut that out. We leave it in because we're not the BBC.
And it was Tara.
It's not great. It's not great. Tara going, what, can you pick me up from
Probably,
yeah, pick me up from Crooks.
Yeah.
Lovely to talk to you. You're doing a good
Pleasure.
job in here. It's a pleasure to have you in.
No, thanks a million, and I enjoy every minute of it.
Okay, good man. Thanks, Walshy.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap, guys.